Your pussy. Hey, bring the camera, son. Bring the camera. All the young girls who want to make life with pussy, your pussy will perish with you in hell. May your pussy perish with you. May your smooth pussy, creamier pussy, and tight pussy perish with you.
Feeling like I flipped 100 somersaults. Hit the call for blow the best. I got high standards. Hand it clenching to your chest. Fred G. Sanford. I tell it you ain't shit. I'm a Mac a player. See the skins on these steppers. That's an alligator. She on me like an elevator. Should've been pimped. Super. Think it's Clark Kent's sister. Yeah, I stay trapping like a vice lord. Stay strapped like a patient in the psych ward. I held up to his head, boy, I'm not going. Butter so soft, you can pour it over popcorn. I'm riding on chrome, ain't nothing better. You know what I'm on. They pushing that leather.
Everywhere, at least the switch is gone. But she got more than enough, so just roll up and repeat the song. Baby, you know that I'm fly, it's in my SY chromosome. You can see by the way I'm riding, you can smell it from my cologne.
Brothers 1,000, told the promoters I'll be there shortly. Sweet one, trying to get my attention. Tell her it's cool as I'm Baptist pouting. Deep down there's a stretch, no doubt, suiting regardless of any other armies trooping.
Well, if you come to visit me in Toronto, I mean, you could always go.
Deep down there's a stretch, no doubt, I'm trying to smash bros like Captain Falcon. But the game is the game, I guess. Can't say that I stress for the feeble specimen. Cause I was in a tea house scheming. Runners, they had more dark than melanin.
It's kinda strange how you let yourself get caught up from a little attention. I try to make you feel secure. I don't give you no reason to even question. Yeah, some guys they got eyes, but I always do you right. So quick to let them know you claim me, baby. But if you can't understand, then maybe you should rethink if it's worth you being my man. See, I'm gotta lie, then you gotta do me right. That you're the only guy all along, and I ain't wrong. If you wanna stay, get it out of the way. Get it out of the way. Baby, we'll get it out of the way. Let go, let it go. Let ego is a killer. Let go, let ego. Let ego is a killer. Let go, let ego. Let ego is a killer. Let go, let ego. Let ego is a killer. Yeah. There's nothing more that I can say to convince you that I ain't the one that's entertaining none of these dudes. But I can't help it if they say you should be happy you got a baddie. Treat me like a trophy and be grateful that you chose me. Beautiful face, thinking away. In first place, you know what comes with a girl like me. So let's be clear, are you here? here, cause I'm all yours. I am a loyal girl. You're the only one in my world. See, I don't gotta lie. And you gotta tell me right. That you're the only guy all along and I ain't wrong. If you wanna stay, you have to wait. Get it out of the way. If you really wait. If you love me, get a cool lady. Ego's killer.
Hoes will pay a stop sign. Oh my god. I remember when I first heard that song, bro, a long ass time ago. He said, I swear these hoes will pay a stop sign. Nigga, I spit my water out. Hey, yo, hey, shout outs to Rollo, man. Shout outs to Rollo, man. What's going on, y'all? I am in the building, man. Make sure you guys do your due diligence. Wipe your feet off at the door by hitting that like button. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Hit the like button. Let's get these likes up. Shout outs to Devin D in the goddamn place to be, man. We're gonna be talking about some real fucking shit on today's show, man. Oh my god. Are y'all ready? Show me that y'all ready, man. Hit that Cash App. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Support the show at $PTV888. That's $PTV888. We got a lot of AFCs running around here. The AFCs have ran rampant in the manosphere and in these spaces and in adjacent spaces and stuff like that. AFCs is average frustrated trumps. That's it, trumps. Chumps. Average frustrated chumps. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. You know what? Actually, my friend gave me some soju earlier before I started the show, so I'm about to go get me a Pepsi or something and put a little bit of soju in this goddamn Pepsi, man. You know what I'm saying? Enjoying a nice cigar. Hold on. Shout outs to War Master last night for dropping the huge. I'm about to make a wall post for him. $20 on the Cash App, man. Make sure you guys hit the like button and support the show. Feed the game. It's Player Talk Radio, man. Look, man, we got a lot of shit to talk about. Let me give y'all shout outs. Shout outs to everybody in the building. What's going on, Big Cap? Yeah, man, they don't know nothing about that bass, bro. Shout outs to Big Cap in the building, man. Back to our scheduled programming. Shout outs to Chris G in the place to be. What's going on, Jalen? Shout outs to Jalen. Shout outs to my girl, Lolita in the building. Shout outs to Lolita tapping in on this game. Shout outs to Chris G again in the place to be. Shout outs to my brother Devin D coming in righteously. Shout outs to UFO Kamikaze. Dig what I'm saying? All the real players in the building, man, and playettes in the building. Shout outs to Ann. What's going on, player? He said just mix the mystery and the tricking, and you're gonna do whatever you want. Be fly yourself though. He said, don't be rocking no cowboy hats. Laugh my ass off. He said, I'm from the mystery Neil Strauss era. Yeah, I am too. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely, man. Man, you know, I used to be one of those guys, you know, when I was studying the shit, because like I said, I'm from the game. Like, I was like, man, these pickup artists. And if you ever read The Game by Neil Strauss, you know, he tells you where he gets all of the game from and the inspiration and stuff from. And like I said, they took from a lot of players and stuff like that. But see, hold on, y'all. They did take from a lot of real players. Absolutely. For a good minute, it was stolen valor. But you know, a lot of pickup artists start, doing their own thing. It was really like their own version. A lot of guys that you have running around here, with this BS, because man, I swear to God, I can't tell you how much times every time I hear dudes talk about women, or right before they talk about women, they have to equate their money into it. You know what I'm saying? I get super tired over the years of arguing with weirdo dudes about how money and women are separate. In a man's world, you know what I'm saying? There's too many people running around here that are obsessed with the game, and they are obsessed with players, and they are obsessed with women, and they are obsessed with a dynamic that they don't understand. You know what I'm saying? And they would like to tell you that, oh, you know what I'm saying? If you are one of these cats talking about the game, oh, you're stuck and you have arrested development and all this other goofball shit that they come up with. And it's like, no, bro, if you're stuck on women, you definitely have arrested development. You understand what I'm saying? You definitely are stuck in a rut. You definitely are patronizing and watching these shows to try to soak up some game. You trying to, you know what I'm saying, get crumbs and stuff like that. So, shows like this is meant for the players. It's not meant for the people that's gonna sit up here and criticize it. You know what I'm saying? We don't got time to backtrack to get you up to speed and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you guys don't realize that, you're a man stuck on a conquest. Men go after conquest. They pursue conquests. And one of the biggest conquests that men feel that they have to conquer or gain some type of understanding about in their life, which is going to be a pillar, or it's going to be a big thing to them, is women. And the same thing with women. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody's out here trying to, soak up something, get married, or have relationships, or even the conquest of pursuing sex. You understand what I'm saying? And it's applicable to squares. So you can either let this shit take over, or you can let it conquer you. That's the word why I'm using the word conquest. So a lot of dudes are conquered by women. Dudes that even in the square world, that got to spend their money. These dudes don't want to spend their money. I'm not going to sit up here and keep trying to convince grown-ass men that's trying to tell y'all about women and try to tell y'all about the game. What's going on, Link? Shout outs to Link. I didn't even see you. Look, they hiding comments, man. Shout outs to Link in the building. Y'all hit the like button, support the show while I'm giving y'all this game. A lot of those dudes, they're conquered by women and money also. So most tricks that don't have any game, and they're preaching to you about the tricking, can't even give you game on what they're trying to do. And a lot of even the quality of average frustrated males has gone down the toilet, because a lot of average frustrated males will tell you that the game doesn't work and you need the trick and you need to be doing all of this other shit. And it's like, well, how's that working out for you? Because you still in these spaces complaining. I don't mind if you want to trick that, bro. I'm not worried about your situation. Especially niggas, a lot of niggas think that other people are worried about their situation. I'm not worried about your situation more than you are, nigga. I got my own life to live. I got my own vessel that I control. I got my own body that I'm in control of. Nobody's worried about you or your money. And you trying to, preach to everybody that money is going to be, they're not even happy with what they've chosen. Oh, you don't see game niggas saying, oh, well, everybody gonna have to learn the game anyway. Anybody gonna have to learn get a mouthpiece. No, that's not true. But you do see tricks running around here talking about you gonna pay one way or another. You gonna this, you gonna do that. And it's like, bro, are you gonna stick to what you're doing, or are you gonna obsess over the game and women and be complaining? How much platforms are you gonna get on and complain about the same shit? You see, tricking is an old man's game. And even old men have to have game to trick. You don't want to make it that far in your life and then get finessed. Which a lot of old men are getting finessed. And then the thing about it is, like, you know, tricks aren't happy with what they're doing. You know, tricks are not happy with what they're doing, which is why they're so paranoid, and they got to make it all inclusive. They got to, hey, you trick too, right? Okay, so I'm not doing nothing. Like, it's like, bro, you're paranoid. And if you a player and you ain't in the game, you shouldn't even be worried about this shit, because there's going to be times an actual player is going to have to, you know what I'm saying, regress back into some square shit. It's going to be times where a player is going to try to get at a woman and he's not trying to deal with her on no player shit. So it's like nowadays we living in a day and age where you got to, what's going on, Spawn? You got to teach a square how to be a square. Squares are worried about tricking and all this other goofball shit. Bro, if you're not in the game, this doesn't apply to you. Go spend your little money. Over the years, niggas been asking me goofball stage 1 questions. Cooter, if I take a woman out on a date, is that tricking? Did you ask this motherfucker to come out on a date with you? Are you digging into her time? If you suggested a date, spend your fucking money. Stop bothering other men about your own exploits. See, that should be haunting niggas. Am I tricking on bitches? No. How about if you spend your money because you suggested going out to this woman, and you're using your money making sure that everything on that date goes smooth? Who the hell wants to be on a date and when the bill comes, you looking like you got egg on your face? When you bothered her to go out. See, there's a difference between spending money willingly and there's a difference between being charged. A lot of y'all niggas are being charged. This is why women come up to y'all and say, yo, buy me a drink. It's to insinuate that you're, you know what I'm saying? It's to insinuate that you're, you know, that you're paying for her little bit of attention and time. This is why tricks are mad when they see the same woman that they just dropped the bag on giving away pussy for free. It's like teaching, it's like telling a nigga that's supposed to be red pill or better than a square, at least. If you in these spaces, you're supposed to be a little bit more equipped with more knowledge than a square. It's like teaching niggas that Santa Claus doesn't exist. You know, you gotta talk to niggas mentally that still believe in Santa Claus, all up in their 40s and 50s. You niggas still believe in Santa Claus. Oh my God, she gives away pussy for free? Yes. Just because you pay for pussy don't mean every girl's a hoe. You got a nigga that could be lacing you with some real information. Now he gotta sit back and tell you Santa Claus is not real. Then you niggas don't get it. You niggas still believe in Santa Claus. Yes. Women give away pussy for free. Yes. They give you a coochie coupon. Some of you niggas never received a coochie coupon in your life. Yes, you can get in-house pussy from women that you like and that like you back. And you just cover all of the shit y'all doing. Yes. Other than handing out a coochie coupon, women are giving you a season pass on that ass. It exists. And this is what happens when a lot of dudes taint they mind and their dating pool with nothing but hoes. This is what happens when they taint their mind and they dating pool with nothing but hoes, man. Y'all hit the like button, support the show. I'll do a pre-record on this later as we go. Yes, women will give you a coochie coupon. Yes, she will give you a season pass on that ass. But anyway, I gave y'all the game on the last show about who Ross Jeffries is. I gave y'all the game on the last show about who Mystery is. So without further ado, let's just let this play, and I'll give you the game as we go along. But the difference between the actual game that pimps and players give out and Max and all of those people give out is unless you can soak it up and know what's being talked about, and you're quiet enough to soak up the game and know what the hell's being talked about, because you have to be sitting down for a long time being a student of the game and listening, not on these airways talking and getting on panels and talking and shit like that, because a lot of you guys are shorting yourself, whether you believe in this shit or not. You don't gotta believe in this shit or not. It's gonna exist whether you believe in it or not. You know, it's gonna exist whether you believe in it or not. So the thing about it is, you had a lot of guys that actually laced up their boots and actually really went out there and got it. They were tired of being frustrated, tired of their situation, and they said, hey, let me go make a change and stuff like that. And what the pickup artists did, which is what a lot of players and pimps kind of didn't do, because in the game there's something called an unwritten rule book. So you have to really be outside and really be doing your thing and really be applying this for you to understand what the P's and the players are talking about. They didn't want to give you the game so easily because they had to pay for it in a lot of cases to find a lot of these unwritten rules in the game. So when they go back and they go talk to their player partners or people that they want to soak up game for, they will present a situation to them, and it'll be a detailed situation, and that person can actually give you the gems and give you the the information that you need, because they know that you've gotten to a point where you've applied yourself and they can talk to you. Or a lot of the times, a lot of those cats have to go to pool halls or bars and places, and you know what I'm saying, kind of pay that fee, buy a nigga a drink, open them up to the level of conversation, ask them about stable management, ask him about some of the various problems that they were having with women, and get him to start talking about it if he's gone through that before, or you know what I'm saying, what was his solution to a situation that may have happened. A lot of husbands would consult with pimps, because if you follow the women, all she's gonna do is tell you to go get therapy, and a lot of those therapists are absolutely paid to tell the men that he was wrong and the woman did nothing wrong, when in a lot of cases the woman did something wrong. The men wanted to talk to the therapist about a different problem, and all the therapist could tell him is that he needs to do better, he needs to do this with his family and blah 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 and all this other square shit, whereas the pimp gave him some game. Or if he's going through a drought, slid him a hoe. This is why a lot of players don't respect a lot of husbands cheating on their wives, that just go straight for the hoe and not for the knowledge. Because the hoe is like a band-aid. And if you ever put a band-aid over something, and especially if you couple it up with your sexual libido and shit like that, you're never gonna heal. If you keep putting a band-aid over a cut and don't allow air to get into it, and don't allow, because sometimes you ever take a band-aid off, the band-aid damn near ripping the cut wide open again. But you got to naturally allow your body to come together and really heal this cut. Hell, you use band-aids wrong, it can create a scar. But see, a player gonna give you that Neosporin. The player gonna say, yo, let the shit air out real quick. Figure it out. This is what you need to do to remedy your situation. You don't need to drag other people into your vices. At what point does your personal vices start fucking up your family and what you got going on? See, players know that. And as a husband or even a young man that's out here dating in today's society, it's not a good idea to gain a taste for Trick Sex. It's Player Talk Radio. I'm dropping gems on y'all for real, for real. Ain't nobody around here talking like this. They ain't no real players. They ain't nobody that can really give you no gems or no information. Telling somebody the trick is the worst thing you can ever do. And then telling somebody the trick without offering them game, you might as well be sending them niggas off. Because even pickup artists, you can talk all the shit in the world you want about pickup artists, but at least they told you to go do something legal. It's Player Talk Radio. Let's get it. Let's get into this mystery versus Ross Jeffries.
And hosting this debate, this is the fourth debate I have hosted. The first was a chaotic.
Let's get into it. Hold on real quick. I had this thing sitting here for a minute, so let me
moderator and hosting this debate. This is the fourth debate I have hosted. The first was a chaotic social circle game and cold approach debate between Michael Sartain and Marcus Wolf, and even Dan Bilzerian joined in. The second debate was between Michael Sartain and Hamza Hitch, and the third debate was between Ross Jeffries, who's here, and Paul Davis, just perfect. So that escalated quickly. I might interject from time to time just to seek clarification for the audience or to throw in some interesting topics during our window of opportunity here. But aside from that, we all know this conversation will pretty much handle itself. So I don't expect to be jumping in very much. I will be reading out super chats, $10 or more, as potentially increasing according to demand. There are a lot of people watching. You want to know something crazy? The three of us were all born in September, and our birthdays are all within days of each other. Now, that's just something strange I realized today. But anyway, let's fucking go. Who would like to start us off?
Shout outs to everybody that answered the poll. Y'all hit the like button and support the show. Almost an hour into the madness. What's going on, Bronze? Flat Power God. Y'all support the show via Cash App. Hit the Cash App. Hit the Cash App. Hit the Cash App. The poll, we got 43% of people that says mystery method. Wow, that's absolutely surprising. But then again, it's not, because real players come to Player Talk Radio to get laced. I appreciate you guys. Mystery method. Wow. 36% says tricking. And the funny part is that a lot of the people in the manosphere aren't even good at that. 14% says mode 1. Very interesting. And coming in at last, 7% says pickup artist. So maybe today's show will give you a little bit more clarification on what pickup artistry actually is. Let's get it.
Well, before we, if you'd like, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, before we go anywhere, acknowledge you, Eric, and I mean it from the heart, as an absolute genius and an original. I may not agree with all of what you teach or any of that, but one of the things I think is super admirable about you, and I don't know if we'll have time in this discussion to find out how you did it. I had some assistants. I modeled Richard Bandler. Richard Bandler took me under his wing and taught me personally. But you had no one to model. You did this all on your own. So in addition to being an original and a genius, your tenacity and resilience is remarkable. So at some point, Ice, if it's okay, I'd like to find out how, if Eric can spend like 3 minutes and tell us his process, how you figured this the fuck out, because you must have gone through some serious shit to get this all figured out.
Yeah, it was a long haul of a good 10 years to get to the M3 model, which is a diagram that what it does is it takes the timeline of the pickup from meeting her to beginning a sexual relationship, and it divides it into phases. When I had begun the understanding that this has to happen in phases, I went by a very simple procedural structure known as FMAC. That's how I began. FMAC, it stands for find, meet, attract, close. Now that's only pickup. That did not define anything in mid-game. It did not define anything in seduction. It was just from meeting her to getting her phone number. That was it. That's FMAC. Finding her really isn't a part of the timeline. It's pre-timeline. you know, getting out to the venue to literally be in the presence of a woman or more. Then you have to meet her, which we now call opening, but you have to meet her. Then you have to somehow demonstrate that you have a personality, right? Demonstrate that and attract her and trigger attraction. As David D'Angelo says, attraction is not a choice. And following that, we then, FMAC, find, meet, attract, close. And the close was just a phone number close back in the day. But that wasn't enough. That didn't define my success stories fully. It only defined the pickup, right? From meet to phone number. There's still all the stuff you do on day 2, the shared activities that you do on day 2, filling the timeline. It takes many hours for her to be comfortable enough to want to seduce you. You know, women.
Well, at some point, I don't want to. I want to address that, but please finish.
Okay. Yeah, we have. I'm sure we have lots of ideas to address and to talk about. But that's where it came from. I started with FMAC, and it turned into something really long at one point. Forsk.
Now, the mystery method. The original book is pretty good. There's an audio book on here that I definitely wanted to go over a couple months ago. But the mystery method has been fine-tuned and revised. You know, Neil Strauss actually went back and teamed up with Mystery, because Neil Strauss is an author. You know what I'm saying? So definitely Mystery, definitely and him is like a winning combo. So Mystery had to go back and retune some of the concepts of mystery method, because again, you had a lot of AFCs, average frustrated chumps, that could not understand what the hell was going on or being talked about. And honestly, before people sit down and learn and soak up the game, they do too much. You know what I'm saying? As y'all can see all throughout the manosphere and in the manosphere adjacent space, they do too much, okay? You said, what is the MM? Be a mystery? No, mystery method has nothing. What's going on, Untitled? Mystery method has nothing about being a mystery. Even though being mysterious is a part of it, mystery method has nothing to do with being a mystery at all. Mystery is not his pickup artist name. It happened to be his pickup artist name, but he got it by being a magician. All right, y'all sit back and soak up this wisdom. He got the name by being a magician. All right, let's get it.
Close to foreskin, find, open, rapport. There were basically a bunch of things I wanted to put into the timeline of my typical pickup, right? Ross, where did qualification come from? To me, qualification was talked about in the community, but it was just a gambit.
Yeah, see, all of these started off as gambits, and then once people really went out there and start doing the homework, then they start turning into theories. And these theories are powerful as fuck. You know, once I did the homework, when I became a pickup artist for a short period of time, these theories are absolutely real. Not just talking points and not just gambits. So you have to, even though you know about this stuff, you have to go out there and apply it and actually see it for yourself to understand, like, oh shit, this is what I'm doing. So a lot of dudes have to get past the gambit part of it. Then you understand the gambits. Then you understand exactly what you're doing within conversation. So let's get it.
It wasn't a phase. And so I had placed qualification as a phase into the ideal pickup. You know, a situation where if I'm going to turn this girl that I've just met into my girlfriend, what would I want her to know about me?
Right.
So everything I would want her to know about me before we do the deed, that is kind of what I had put into my structure so that I could hit the waypoints. Like,
so basically what he's talking about is you have to see, when you meet women or you deal with women, you're already going to play a role or a character in her life. Obviously, she didn't just spawn when she met you. You understand what I'm saying? She got a life, she got a brain, she got thoughts, she got everything. She got a lot of stuff going on in her life. And here comes this random guy that's playing a story role into her life. So what he's saying is that he's using qualification to basically kind of control or gain a little bit of control over the story that he's gonna, be in her life, how he's gonna fit into her life. Okay? So a lot of times women will be like, oh, here's this cool guy. And it's like, yes, I know you think that I'm that guy, but I'm really this guy. These are things that I want you to know about me, because it's like multi-threading. So when I start, if I'm running a routine or I'm doing something, I can meet it back on the back end and super attract you or have you more into who I am, because what I'm going to be doing is going to be adjacent to what I've introduced to you before. All right, y'all got to keep up with what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? So basically it's him reasserting that he is who he is or who he thinks he is. Okay? A lot of people have this weird fake independent mindset because a lot of times they want you, like for example, some people don't, even if it's a great idea, some people don't want you to think of it. Some people would like to think that they thought about it on their own. Are y'all following me? Sometimes when you're talking to a woman or somebody that has that's a bit of a narcissist or a bit of an ego, and let's say y'all come to a problem where y'all get to a door and one of you guys have the key to open the door. Let's say the woman has the key to open the door. Instead of saying, hey, you have a key dangling from your neck that can open this door, sometimes you got to be like, man, you know what? We at this door, but I'm glad that you're smart enough to have that key on your neck that could open this door. And they look down and they're like, yeah, I actually do. Or, you could throw it out there. If somebody had a key to open this door, we could get past this door. Oh, you mean this key that's right here? So a lot of times people don't want you to tell them what to do. They have this independent mindset. So sometimes you got to put the idea out there that they can take that key that's dangling around their neck and open this door, and both of you guys can go through it. I'm using that as a metaphor. All right? Soak up what I'm telling y'all.
Like one of the waypoints you'll get in every pickup.
Giving y'all some real game. Way more than anybody else in these spaces. Let's get it.
Is the question, so how do you all know each other?
And the reason why you would ask, how do you guys know each other, is to get people to tell on them, because sometimes you're going to approach a group or a set that has men and women in it, and the girls will be like, oh, we met this guy earlier. You may think that this guy is her boyfriend, but they're not. We met this guy earlier tonight. Or, no, this is my sister's boyfriend. Or this is such and such. Or this is, you know what I'm saying? Get them to tell on themselves.
No, there's that waypoint. Well, there are other waypoints as well, and there's waypoints in each phase. So I just backwards engineered my successes and discovered the M3 model. That's right. What took place. I remember doing it with my buddy Neil Strauss at the time, and he was saying, why are you doing this, man? Just go pick up the girl. And I'm like, no, there's a pattern here, and I don't understand it. And the pattern...
And this is all stuff that naturally happens. So don't think you're running game. What's going on, Tampa? This is mystery. This is all stuff that naturally happens. This naturally happens.
Was ultimately that pickups go generally through three physical locations. The attraction location is where you meet them. Then you have to build comfort, so you got to do it somewhere at the comfort location. And then finally, you need some privacy for seduction. And you go to your living room, which is the seduction location. That was mid-game to me. A little bit of comfort is established in attraction. C1 is what I called it. And The objective of C1 was just trust, to build enough trust that you could bounce her from one venue to the next. So she comes and joins you to what is now a C2 location, a comfort building location like Mel's Diner for a bite to eat. And then
and it's a compliance test also.
Finally, bouncing to your living room, bouncing to the seduction location and escalating from there. So that was mid-game, right? And then end game. And the truth is, I really don't teach a lot of end game because I have to teach practical application in field over 3 days, 3 nights. We go into clubs. And I believe, this is just my belief, women are better at seduction than men are.
Absolutely.
At least better than me. Maybe they're not, maybe there are some really good seducers out there. Ross, you're one of them. Being able to, being able to, I've seen you perform.
And women are not dumb whatsoever. They actually know what's going on. That's why you got last minute resistance and all kinds of different type of shit tests. They actually know what's going on. They just want to run into a guy that's smooth enough to do all of this stuff. They just want to run into a guy that they trust and that's smooth enough to do all of this stuff. What we doing right now? We talking about the presidential debates and stuff like that. You want somebody that you can trust enough to lead you. All right, let's go.
You know, whisper sweet nothings in a woman's ear and her pupils dilate. Right? I've seen that. I've witnessed that personally. But if you have attraction and comfort, she'll likely seduce you.
Absolutely.
Let me speak into all
those are my
this.
thoughts.
Yes, thank you.
They just need a man to lead them.
I'm sure I'm not the only one who's curious about your process. Thank you for sharing. A couple of things. From my experience and the experience of countless students, tens of thousands over a 33-year career, it's not my observation or belief that women have their emotions in sequence or that a seduction takes place in a sequence. I think women can have their emotions simultaneously. If you know how to do it, if you know how to communicate straight with the unconscious.
It's like a firing order in a car with the crankshafts and stuff like that. If you guys know anything about Corvettes are pretty calm for the first 2 to 3 years. For the first 1 and 2nd year, and then they pick up around mid-second to 3rd year. All right.
Mind, you can create.
UFO.
Well, first of all, we need to define what we mean by attraction, because it's an ill-defined term. When you say attraction, does it mean her vagina is wet, or she's having sexual thoughts, or does it mean she's focused on you and she wants more of the interaction?
And this is the problem with a lot of men, though, Chris G, between the difference between players and tricks. Women also got a scratch that needs to be itched. So telling a trick that a woman will smash you for free is like getting a nigga to not believe in Santa Claus anymore. I don't care about teaching niggas how to not get I don't care about teaching niggas that Santa Claus ain't real. Cause the same nigga that you got to teach to that and tell over and over again. Cause if I notice, I notice. I don't need to talk to no nigga. So instead of sitting up here keep telling niggas that Santa Claus ain't real, because once you tell them Santa Claus ain't real, they try to become Santa Claus. Oh, I need to give this bitch a gift. I need to have a bargaining chip. I need to pay her bills. I need to fill her refrigerator. Nah, tricking don't stop the itching. Not for you or her. Because both of y'all got to go find somebody else. You're not the only person with money.
To me, I more think about in terms of focus. My first
you give a monkey $1,000, he can get what you got.
First aim is drawing focus, because focus is the currency of any kind of influence, persuasion, sales, seduction.
Yeah, nigga, you give a chimpanzee $1,000, nigga, he'll get what you got. Nothing separates you from a chimpanzee at that point, but paper.
If you can't get that focus, you're not getting anywhere, or you're going to lose the attention of that person. So my teaching to my students is you can get that focus, you can get what you would call comfort, you can even get deep connection very quickly. You can do it in a matter of minutes. I don't believe that women have their emotions in a linear fashion. I think it's relatively certain and provable that women have emotions about their emotions. So let's say a woman is feeling what you would call comfort. She could feel excited about her comfort. She could feel curious about her excitement, about her comfort. So I don't necessarily believe that women, or humans for that matter, experience their emotions in a linear fashion. That's the first point I'd make. The second point I'd make is, if you know how to do something, if you have a technology for doing something, it's going to seem impossible for the outside. But in my experience and the experience of my students, you don't need 7 hours. That's a model. And inside of that model, given what your technology is, you might need 7 hours, but I've done it in a matter of hours. Some of my students have done it in less.
But see, that's the thing though, Chris G. Tricks should get ridiculed. If you want to openly be a John, that's up to you. You know, Tricks should get ridiculed. You can go to jail. Being a trick makes you a pookie by default. You're doing something illegal. You can go to jail for tricking. And you can get a sex trafficking charge. That shit ain't nothing to play with. Keep playing. Keep playing, y'all. Play around with it.
If you know how to do these things, you can create them simultaneously as well as sequentially, and you can do it relatively quickly. That's why we call it speed seduction. It's done quickly. Now, you can also do it in a way where there's not buyer's remorse. You can do it in a way where it feels, how can I put this, where it feels organic.
Natural.
Is it a little manipulative? Well, it's certainly structured in a way to get a response, but there's nothing dishonest about it. There's no, for example.
That's the thing, because y'all gonna end up paying for a woman that y'all want, and then end up complaining about how you got the girl but missed the bitch. And let me tell y'all the truth. Not all tricks get what they want. Not all tricks get pussy. So a lot of times you tricking for nothing. You just bought a steak, but you ain't get no sizzle. That's what the girlfriend experience come from. Make it seem like it's real. Get wet like I wanted to get you wet. I want you to be wet for me. Sell it to me. Sell me the experience, please, even if it's for 10 minutes. I need to feel alive. Head ass.
Example, this is something I would like to ask you about. Demonstrating higher value, telling these stories. Is it really demonstrating higher value, or is it just being really good as a storyteller, which is fine? Learning to tell stories is something that I teach.
Pretend to like me for who I am after I give you some money.
But I think there's a distinction between telling a story about how you are of higher value and actually.
What's going on, Tech Rail? Yeah, if you trick on yourself or player talk radio, now you shining, you reflecting. Tricks give more money to women than they give to their own mama.
Showing it.
Yeah. Big time.
And so I think what you're really doing.
And you came out her pussy. You came out her pussy. Paying to get into some pussy.
There is getting focus, which is something you can do with speed seduction. And my claim is you.
That's not true, Chris G. That's a belief. But if you want it to be true, it'll be as true as you want it to be.
Do it a lot quicker. So you're the one who created it. I don't want to put words in your mouth. When you're doing a DHV, are you really?
Right. If you pose with the right clothes, you get chose with your mouth closed. Let's get it.
Demonstrating a higher value, whatever value means.
Well, I'd love to get to defining it, if I may.
Yeah, please.
This is something very important, is to understand what attraction is. So what is the purpose of life? We know the meaning, or rather, I cannot tell you the meaning of life, but we know the purpose of life, which is to survive and replicate. We've got roughly 28,000 days to make that happen.
SNR value.
To survive and replicate. Replication is just a genetic means of continued survival. So you can't separate the two. It's not just survive, or replicate. It's survive and replicate.
You survive long enough to replicate.
If I align with someone with...
Don't nobody want to hear, I paid for your mama.
Value. Survival and replication value. If they can demonstrate...
Kids don't even want to hear that shit. Dad, you couldn't naturally attract mom? You had to have money?
It's survival and replication value for me. I will wish to align with them to improve my chances as well. When I look to a woman, I look more for replication value than survival value. And generally women look towards men more for survival value than replication value. But again, you cannot separate the two. That is the purpose of life, not the meaning. I don't know the meaning of life, but the purpose of life is to survive and replicate. That's what value is.
Nobody wants to explain how I met your mother on a track.
Survival and replication value. And the neat thing is, if you can demonstrate some key DHVs, demonstrations of higher value.
And that's where Kevin Samuels stole it from. And this is where it's being butchered. That's where the high value man came from. And this is where it's being butchered. It don't matter if you're a high value or if you're a high value man. If you can't demonstrate high value, because most high value men demonstrate low value with their high value trinkets and stuff like that. If you can't demonstrate high value, all of that shit don't mean nothing.
Pings within a story. That's what makes a DHV story. It's just a story.
Because value, to a certain degree, is an opinion
of your choice, with a couple bragging spikes built in. No one else is going to brag for you. And
what spikes?
The wingman. Yeah, a couple spikes. And you don't want the DLVs, demonstrations of lower value. But that makes up, those key moments where, if, for instance, I were to say, I went to the Hollywood sign, and if you go there, I went there with a girlfriend who, if you're so inclined to rating women from 1 to 10, which I'd never do, she was off the charts, a very beautiful, beautiful actress. And we jumped the fence, went up to the Hollywood sign, touched it for good luck. Trust me, it works. I'll pause here. The fact that I'm talking about a beautiful girl is the DHV.
Right.
I would rather have girls with me, of course, like we did yesterday. We had girls with us, and then you can open up adjacent groups very proficiently because you have girls with you. But what if you don't have women with you? You have to start from scratch. You've got to put your best foot forward. So you can trigger attraction by triggering the 5 key DHVs that make a woman, or not make her, that allow her to feel that you have value for her.
See, when y'all guys get around women and y'all get to talking too much about shit they don't care about and things like that, a lot of women that were attracted to you, when they start to lose attraction for you, what will happen is that, damn, she wanted to feel this way about you because she's projecting her insecurities and all kinds of different things onto you. And instead of letting her do that and let her catch herself, because women teach you how to catch them, what happens is when you start talking and yapping, you start to become more real to her. And the more real you become to her because you opened up your mouth, the thing is that you're stopping her from feeling, in her mind, you're stopping her or not allowing her to feel the way that she wants to feel about you long enough to attract herself to you. You're denying her from, even if you're being real with her, you're denying her from, you're shutting her out from feeling a way about you that she would like to feel about you. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what he's talking about. Let's get it.
And I have defined the 5 DHVs thusly. First is pre-selection.
Right.
80% of all attraction is a woman knowing that you're
She thinks you're the man. Don't sit up here and be like, "Oh no, I'm not the man. I'm not the man. I'm just a geeky guy that's just
selected by other women." That presumes you have all the other characteristics.
right."
Pre-selection is number one: leader of men, protector of loved ones, a willingness to emote, to show a rich range of emotion, not hide behind a smile.
What's going on, Rainwater?
The American smile, and successful risk taker. If you can convey,
okay, here's my point. Here's my point.
It triggers attraction. Go ahead.
Here's my point.
Yeah, that's
Is telling
cool,
a story that you did that, actually demonstrating it, or is it just telling a good story? Someone may not believe your story. Look, I understand. If you're in a If you're in a society and you're someone who's
I'll use the fuck out of that UFO approach. You think? Let me ask you a question. I know this is gonna sound a little bit crazy. See, I'm giving it a caveat. I know this. I'm gonna come off as a little bit crazy, but do you think UFOs are real? And if aliens come down and what's going on, Aqua? If aliens have came down and be abducting people, do you think it's gonna be like I'll go straight to sexual. Do you think it's going to be like a sexual thing, or do you think they genuinely just kind of they're obsessed with like humans? Do you think it's like a sexual thing? Will they abduct people to have sex with them, or do you think that they kind of are infatuated by, you know what I'm saying, by humans? And then you can turn the conversation straight sexual. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm just saying that's a way. That's the way, y'all. Hey, let's get it.
Got the highest status, and you actually are protecting your loved ones, and you're showing it. Are you actually really
yeah, man, dropping it, man.
Or are you telling a story about where you demonstrated it? And I think it's a really important distinction. In speed seduction, I'm not interested in talking about myself.
Right, you get that.
That's not what I believe we should be doing. We ought to be capturing and leading the imagination and the emotions and the focus of a woman by using certain techniques and speaking in a certain way.
Now, Mystery employs a little bit of what Ross Jeffries is talking about, which is called neuro-linguistic programming. Shout outs to Ebo Sosa. Shout outs to Royce J. Shout outs to Rayology. You got a lot of players that talk about and get into some of the aspects of neuro-linguistic programming.
And by the energy we bring to the approach. How do we prepare before we go out? What are the rituals? What are the things we do to prepare our state? So I am not interested in starting the conversation by talking about myself, or even talking about myself very much at all. I think it could, in certain situations, come off as bragging.
Right.
And if it's done right. Yeah. And
art form.
I've talked to so many women who've said the number one mistake, the number one thing we can't stand about guys is they talk about themselves. So what I would like to introduce is some of the things that I'm teaching. I've heard you and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
First and foremost, capture and lead.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, Shinobi. Like if you're good at storytelling, you can work the conversation into you telling her a story and basically painting yourself in a different light, with going through the story, being relatable, and talking about certain things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not that complex, but it can be as much as you want it to.
The imagination and the emotions of that woman, speak in a way that evokes emotional states. Now, I don't believe you have to get comfort first. I don't believe you have to get attraction first or seduction first. You can do them simultaneously.
Right.
And you can do it by being very direct. Let me tell a story, the true story.
And he's seducing y'all with this conversation right now. He's getting into a story, so let's get it.
My stories are true, but I swear on my start, it's true. So once upon a time, I was going to get my nails done at a salon in Marina Del Rey. I opened the door, and it's obvious
how he's using his hand to express himself. Women are expressive, so they like when a man is a conversationalist and they're talking and expressing themselves to them. This builds comfort.
Very crowded. I said to the woman, "How long is the wait?" She said 30 minutes. I said, "Way too long." As I was leaving, I turned.
Talking about getting his nails done, which is a form of grooming. You don't think women get their nails done? So you don't think this is a relatable conversation? I know some of y'all like to walk around with dirty mechanic nails and then get mad when a bitch don't let you finger them. But anyway.
Turned and looked over my shoulder and saw a very, very attractive blonde.
Niggas be fingering bitches with WD-40 on their hands and shit. Oil and all kinds of goofball shit.
Blonde woman drying
By
her
herself.
nails.
That's rare.
Well, hold on. In a club or a bar, it's rare. Hold on. Out in the real world, it's not so rare. So, well, hold on. And I'll give you some counterexamples in a minute. So she's drying her nails, and as I'm leaving, I turned and looked back, and I let the door close, and I thought, no, go back in there. So I went back and I said to her, excuse me, I was leaving, but as soon as I saw you, you stopped me dead in my tracks, and I had to come talk to you. Boom. Now, I forget what patterns I ran on her, but afterwards, when I was debriefing her, after I debriefed her, she said, you know, you were so bold, you were so confident, you didn't give a fuck about what other people in the salon thought. Everyone was watching. You didn't care. That made my pussy wet almost instantly. So that's an example of actually showing confidence. That's an example of not me talking about times when I was confident. It was an example of being direct. And it was that directness, along with some of the language patterns that she didn't pick up, that actually worked. Now, given the context of a club, I can see how that would not work. But a lot of women don't spend their times in bars and clubs and parties. And further, my audience, guys in their 40s and 50s, and some younger guys.
My students were in their 40s and 50s, and we went to the after parties, we went to the parties, we went to the bottle service nights. We did it all.
See, so they're talking about game that's appropriate for the actual venues and what the person's actually doing. What Ross Jeffries is talking about is more so day game, and what Mystery is talking about is more so out on the town type game. All right, giving y'all some good game. Y'all hit that Cash App, soak up this ism. Let's get it.
We did bars. We demonstrated a diverse range of events over 3 days and 3 nights. We did 3 venues per night, 9 venues this weekend. It was a joy.
Which is actually pretty easy.
Surrounded by love at every venue.
Okay, what I'm saying is that many guys are just not going to go to bars. They're not going to have access to those venues. You mentioned the word bottle service. How many guys can get access to bottle service?
Oh, I would
show up in a way if I
got
could.
Invited.
If I could. Well, you got invited because your status and your mystery, of course. The guy who's in Podunk, Idaho, who's who's working 12 hours a day because he's got his own career. He's a successful career person, or he's running his own business.
Thank you, Lolly.
He's not time to go to bars and clubs. I personally, even with you by my side, whispering in my ear would not go because I can't stand noise. I can't stand crowds. I can't stand drunk people. I just would not go. But
now, what Tampa said, there's some truth to that. A lot of guys may feel that they're dumbing themselves down to talk to women. And it might be a little bit truthful. But if it's to get what you want, or to talk to the type of women that you're interested in, don't look at it as dumbing yourself down. Just look at it as you speaking a different language. Stay woke.
But there's a larger
that does add up to you coming up with enough excuses not to go to the party, and
I would not go. It's not an excuse. I just would not.
You're missing out, my friend. The parties, Hollywood Hills.
There's a larger.
So the difference between a lot of times getting women at clubs versus getting women during the daytime, it's like a lot of times during the daytime you'll get the real them instead of their representative. You're going to talk to the representative anyway. So Mystery is talking about dealing with women in certain club venues and getting the real them, whereas Ross Jeffries is talking about day game, getting them outside of a different element, in a different element, getting the real them right there and then. All right, let's get
There's a larger point here. How many guys, if they don't know you or someone in that scene, can get those invitations? But more importantly, that was an example of what you said can't work, which is direct approach. I showed my interest. You say don't show.
No, on a single set.
I showed my interest directly. I did it in a way where there's no shame. And I think when a guy can show that kind of balls, combine it with a unique thing. I didn't go up to her and say, hey, I think you're so beautiful, I had to come back in. Didn't work. I said, when I saw you, you stopped me dead in my tracks, which is something that's very unique, something she wouldn't be used to hearing. And boom. So it is possible.
Hour and 33 minutes into the madness. Let's get it.
Possible to be direct. I think the distinction between direct and indirect, maybe it's not so important one. You can, with speed seduction, you can do both, and they're equally effective. So what would you say to that? That I was direct, I didn't show an indicator of disinterest, and that the real demonstration of higher value was not me telling a story about how I was boldly approaching someone, but the fact that I actually did it.
Well, I've discovered in my experience that women of particular quality of beauty are rarely alone. They're usually in groups. So you're going to have to work the group. You know, single sets are very rare.
Now, these days, more than ever, you can find beautiful women alone. Back in the day, you would have to extract that same beautiful woman now that you can find alone. You would have to extract her out of a group or use a lot of group theory to get that woman, because a lot of beautiful women, they allow their friends and people around them that they go out with to influence them and stuff like that. A lot of them can't think for themselves. So sometimes you're better off attracting the people that surround them and being like, hey, I like that guy. You should date him. Hey, such and such that came up to us, who was pretty cool. You should use his number, or blah, 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 and things like that. There's different methods. Let's get it.
Women walk fast. They're on their phone. They're trying not to let anyone talk to them. I've had beautiful women in my life and, you know, bartenders and such. And when they're walking to work, they just walk fast and they don't want to talk to anyone and they pay attention to no one, right? Beautiful women are usually in groups of people when you meet them. And you cannot hit on her on the open because you don't know which is the boyfriend, which is the brother, and they're in the group. Remember, we're working
on anyone. I don't hit on anyone. And all those beautiful women that you see, they have to go grocery shopping. Here in Southern California,
see what I'm talking about?
They're everywhere in yoga events, not yoga classes, because they leave the class right away. But I have done very well at yoga events. For example, this is chick crack. I don't believe any of it, but I'll go. They do yoga sound baths and chakra healing, and they're all over the place. There are plenty of women who are by themselves. Ice is laughing, but there's plenty of women who are available who are by themselves. And furthermore, if you can talk in their language, they love that stuff. So I don't agree that women of great beauty or even quality are alone. Now, I'll agree with you this, in the context of what you're speaking about, in bars and clubs, they're not alone. I would say they're never alone. But again, I just don't go into bars and clubs.
I'm telling you, I've been out yesterday and the night before on the streets. People are in 2 sets. That's 2 people. 3 sets. Mixed sets have guys in them. Very lucrative. You can actually approach a couple and be surprised that they're not together, that the man is just an orbiter.
Right.
So you can get some interesting results from unexpected types of sets. A lot of people don't open mixed sets. That's with you know, a group with guys in them, because they're afraid that the guys are going to.
Now, why am I playing this? Because most of y'all in this space are not players and haven't done any of this stuff. So it's not to explain to you guys how you're not players. It's to explain because most of the people in these spaces are using these people's talking points and using these people's lexicon, and they're using them out of context. And the reason why they're using them out of context because there's no events in your life to apply this shit. other than speaking to other weirdos on the internet. You've never looked at a guy in real life and be like, damn, this is an actual orbiter. Let me sit here and study. No, you've only heard about it on the internet. Not in real life. You got all of these people. Yeah, the game ain't real, but I got their lexicon in my vocabulary, and I talk about it all the time. Who are you trying to be? Who raised you? Who gave you the game? Who laced your boots? Man, you niggas is lame.
To get angry that you're making moves on the girl. But if you open in an indirect manner and you befriend, her friends, then you have a chance with her. Usually with peer approval by saying, your friend and I like each other. You cool with that? And a nice little soundbite for them to say, sure. And then you can go sit with your selected interests.
Cool guy now.
Again, that's a pattern that happens over and over and over again in pickup for me.
It's approaching somebody instead of saying, oh, this person can't sit with us. It's like, nah, actually, you can't sit with me. You can't sit with me, and I came over to you. Who raised you?
Is that I see a group of people, I engage in them, we chat for 10, 15 minutes. In that time, I get permission to isolate my woman of interest. And
guess what? You can, at the height of them being attracted to you, you can actually leave and have permission to come right back and sit down with them as if you came to the venue with them. Weirdo ass niggas still asking me about the game. Who raised you?
Escalate from there.
Let's talk about that.
Please.
When you got them in isolation, aren't you really doing some form of NLP, some form of hypnotic stuff?
Yeah.
I've seen, I swear
absolutely
on my parents' memory, and I would not do that. So I'm being serious. I attended one of your seminars. It was a long time ago. It was in a location
20 years ago, 15 years ago.
And I distinctly recall you looking at me and saying, and when I get them isolated, I basically use speed seduction.
No, sir. No, sir. That's an interesting recollection you have, but no.
Okay, so tell me, what are you doing?
It's like the Mac versus the PC to me.
What are you doing in isolation?
That's a good analogy.
Fundamentally using what I teach throughout the process.
To be honest, isolation happens only if you're in a 3-set or more. If it's a 2-set, you cannot isolate because it alienates the obstacle or the friend. So, isolation may be 2 people. It's a mini isolation. All you're doing is getting a chance to speak with one person from a group without everyone else hearing it, without holding court and running the group. Because it's group theory. We run it. But you get permission from the peer group. Is it all right if I talk to her for a moment? And then you can move to a sit down. And the dream is the sit down.
Because you build comfort for the group. The group is comfortable enough to not cock block at this point.
What are you doing?
Attracted to arm in arm.
What specific techniques are you giving someone when they're in isolation and you've got that one-on-one to capture the imagination, arouse the person, and implant the suggestions that it's on?
Well, by the time I'm moving the set, I'm in the 3rd phase, which is known as qualification.
Right.
She's qualified enough so that I can show enough interest to say, I'm curious about you. Is there more to you than meets the eye? Here, come join me.
Comfort.
And you can grab a seat and get to know each other, which is the fantasy. The dream is being one-on-one with the girl. But because she's not alone, because she's in a group, because that group has friends, other groups, you have to handle all the logistics that are necessary to finally get a chance to, sit one-on-one with the girl and get to know her. So by the time I get down to lock-in, we call it lock-in, 3 to 5 minutes into set, you'll lean up against the bar, for instance, and the girls will join you. So it looks like they're with you. as opposed to you gaming them. That's known as lock-in. It'll happen about 3 to 5 minutes in. I know that's a little early, maybe 7 minutes in, if you're taking time with the stand-up group.
You're really fast.
And then you go grab a seat and you start comfort building. And comfort to me is really about time, getting her, like spending the time with her so that she can feel as comfortable as she needs to bounce.
Okay. If I could, my claim, and
that's what you niggas are trying to do. I'm just trying to get to know you. It's a feeble attempt of trying to build comfort.
Something that my students would tell you is comfort can be on the unconscious level installed when you know how to address it.
Yeah.
I have a language pattern I call hard on sleeve. Now, as difficult as it may be for you guys out there to believe it, you can check it out for free. Just run it based on what the AI tells you. Basically, hard on sleeve talks about the theme of connection and comfort and what it's like when you feel it. And so what I'm saying is you don't need to take all this time with all these steps. If you know how to use your language to evoke these emotional responses bubbling up from the unconscious mind,
right,
you can do it very, very, very quickly. Can you do it in a club or bar scene? I don't know. But I think this whole idea that happens A1, A2, A3, C1, whatever, is based on your model, and your model is not taking into account the power of suggestion and the ability to talk to the subconscious mind and evoke responses very, very quickly. If you are leaving the power of language and suggestion to generate very quickly responses.
And they're both right, by the way. This is the Mac versus the PC. They both right.
Responses, states of mind, flows of feeling in the body, mental imagery. If you're leaving that out, you're leaving a vast array of weapons out of your arsenal.
But let's not use weapons. Let's not use arsenal.
Tools
for now.
Tools, your toolkit. I'll accept the redefinition, if you will. Either way you look at it, either term you want to use, any terms you want to use, you're leaving that out. And I can tell you from my own experience, and look, I'm not doing it on my looks. Okay. I'm just not. I never have. Well,
it's coming in, Ross.
I remember you when you were a Johnny Depp lookalike.
I remember
you were. I don't know how much of this was you getting away with your looks, but in any case, my claim is that you can generate all these things, and they don't necessarily have to be in sequence, if you know how to speak about some of the themes that excite women. What are those themes that women like to think about? Connection, being swept off their feet, meeting someone who they feel like they've known their whole life, doing something that's just for them, that even their best friends, they wouldn't want to tell them. All of that can be installed and suggested in a matter of 45 minutes if you're a newbie, and 20 minutes if you're good at what I do. You don't have to do all this stuff. And again, I will challenge you on this idea that women have their emotions in sequence. They don't.
I don't know what that means. The structure is not giving her emotions in sequence. It's
a lot of manosphere guys will call it simping, but they're not players. You shouldn't be obsessed and worried about simping if you're not a fucking player. Go get your square relationship. This manosphere shit was not meant to try to figure out being a player. It's really meant to try to figure out the square world. The Matrix was not meant to figure the Neo was getting gamed up and learning the game. But it was for some square shit. That manosphere shit wasn't about you being in this space trying to figure out what the fuck a player is. To tell you the truth, if you quote unquote red pill, you can look at certain players as honorary squares if women is your conquest. But you can't get mad when players look at you as a square. If you were truly red pill, you would know this. But a lot of guys, they just jumped into something and started running their mouths, and that's the problem. You're running your mouth instead of soaking up some game.
Opening the set. It's then demonstrating value. It's then qualifying her, giving her a chance to invest in you, and then This is why a lot of niggas got the wrong lexicon. Moving the set, the whole group, into a sit down so you can build comfort with them. That's a typical fun night out. Hanging with
but I'm saying building comfort can take place in 3 minutes. You don't need to take hours to do it.
It's
now,
up
again,
to her.
I'm going to acknowledge
It's up
something.
to her. It doesn't make you a master if you get the girl in 3 minutes.
Right.
It doesn't make you a master. It just makes the opponent naive.
Right.
No. If you can do it with
There's some truth to what Mystery is saying, because you can build comfort with a woman, and depending on how you go build comfort with this woman, she can friend zone you. Doesn't make you a master. It just makes you comfortable. Some guys build comfort with a woman and haven't attracted her yet, so guess what? They get friend zoned. It is a thing.
the right skill set, it becomes predictable. And if you don't know how to do it, I could understand how you would.
Efficiency is what I'm after.
Okay. So if you can do it in 30 minutes,
that's a typical pickup.
Then
30 to 40 minutes is a good pickup. If not 2 hours, by having an instant date, right? By hanging with her that whole night because you want to, you like each other.
Right. So what I'm saying that using some of these language patterns in speed seduction, you can do all of that. I'll give you an example because I'm just moving my lips and it's too generalized. So I have a language pattern called heart on sleeve. And basically, so the sequence is, first and foremost, you have to do a pattern interrupt. I think based on your work that you do a lot of pattern interrupts. Maybe you don't.
Baxter and I were talking about that. He had suggested, my wingman Baxter, by the way, of 15 years. Love the guy. He's a good man. Ladies love him. Yeah, he did really good this weekend. He was suggesting that very thing that you said that. Also the word manipulation. You know, I do magic. I perform.
Right.
What I do is I put my best foot forward and I allow the woman to choose me based on my performance. To me, pickup is a performing arts. It's the pickup.
I don't agree.
Right.
No,
it's an art
about
form.
Performing. It's an art form, but there's
a performance
between an art form and a performance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's an art in the sense that you have to practice it, but we're not performing in speed seduction. We're creating connections with the deeper part of the woman's mind. But let me continue because I got sort of stared away. So what we're doing is doing a basic pattern interrupt just to get her attention. Then I'm going to get her laughing because laughter is a way to get attention, and it's also
agree on that.
Okay,
it's a secret to success.
Really, it's not being a clown, but laughter. We'll agree on that.
That's
all right. And then I'm going to talk.
They're basically saying the same thing. They're just using different terminology. Like I said, it's a method versus like strategy. Some strategies are better. More women are receptive to certain strategies. Some strategies, it all depends.
I'm going to ask her a simple question, which is, and this is designed to bring up an emotional state in her, which is, do you wear your heart on your sleeve or can you hide your feelings? For example,
this is a good one.
Let's say you meet a guy and you feel this amazing connection, those butterflies right there to let you recognize something big is taking place. Can you hide that that's what's happening? Or would your friends be able to see, yes, that's what's occurring? I listen to her answer, whatever her answer is, then I feed it back to her. And then I say, for me, when I feel that amazing connection, maybe even that special growing tension.
And while he's doing this, he's kind of hypnotizing the girl and actually touching her. Like, when you feel butterflies right here, and he kind of like motions to her stomach, or he actually touches her stomach. He's being descriptive in this conversation, all right?
it's time to act on this. I can't hide it. It's an open book. Now that sounds like gobbledygook.
No, it's great.
And he's speaking slowly and methodically.
I love it. I love it. I can see that working in field. You're captivating her attention. Like you said, focus, but I call it captivating.
Right.
You can stimulate the set.
They're saying the same shit.
And then you can captivate the set, draw them in, right?
It's more than captivating.
Stimulate first, then captivate.
It's more than captivating. It's not just drawing focus in. It's installing. I'm making suggestions like feel this incredible connection.
Right.
Feel.
He's telling her what to do in the middle of asking her a question.
Those butterflies. I did this with of all people, I did it with a parking enforcement woman. She said, God, I'm feeling those butterflies with you right now.
Yeah.
It can be created really, really quickly. That's just one example of dozens of language patterns.
Yes, sir.
I've done this. And then you can also seduce using genuine curiosity.
Right.
I'll tell you another story. And this is what you would call indirect. Sitting on a flight, I'm sitting on this aisle seat, very attractive blonde woman, I would say in her late 20s, wearing a running suit, a track suit.
Okay.
And then coming down the aisle was this couple who were sickeningly in love. They were sucking face and saying, baby, baby, I love you, I love you. One sits down right next to the woman, the sporty woman. One sits down next to me, and they're talking across us. And I couldn't take it. I tap the blonde girl. I reach over. I say, hey, sporty, what say we change places so these two lovebirds can be together? She says, fine, but I want your aisle seat. So she sits on the aisle. I sit next to her. And I noticed she's looking through some very complex scientific diagrams. I said, wait a minute. That's a vector, isn't it? She said, yeah, that's right. And I said, that looks like a satellite.
So basically him talking to her, calling her sporty, it's somewhat of a neg, but not even a neg. It's a compliment and a nickname. And then basically he transitioned into a conversation after seeing what she's reading. So now he's going to transition into a normal conversation after he piqued their interest, after he's seen what she's actually interested in, because that's what she's reading.
At apogee. And that
got to be able to read this shit, y'all.
That looks like a satellite at perigee. She said, yeah, that's absolutely true.
How do you know about all of this shit?
Like, wow. I said, let me ask you something. And then I just started to dive into what I was curious about. Like, how is it that you're able to imagine all this stuff? Because when you do what you do, she said she was an aerospace engineer. Half of this is being an artist. You have to visualize it. But half of it is being an engineer. What part of that came easier to you? The engineer part or the artist part? That got her off to the races. Comfort. I let her talk.
Building comfort.
Yeah, invest in you. Yeah, to get her to invest.
I'll let her.
He's building comfort with her right now.
Her talk. And then she said, how do you know this? Are you an aerospace engineer? I said, I'm an aerospace engineer. She said, what is that? I said, EROS. I engineer the space between men and women so they can feel an incredible connection. Then I went on to do some things. And do we have a full-on tongue-on-tongue makeout? No, but we made out a little bit. Mm-hmm. I wound up getting her number, did a day 2, and closed her. Now, I didn't talk about myself. I showed genuine curiosity about that.
That's who I qualifying.
And I think
it's an important phase to get them to invest in you. We start simple, questions such as, if you had to sing on X Factor in 2 weeks' time, what would you sing? And that gets them investing in you. And it's an interesting question because some people have thought that through, so you get to learn about a person. You can ask questions such as, what's your superpower? Lighthearted ones. But what I enjoy in A3, in qualifying, is at the beginning, I'm crossing my arms and saying, is there more to you than meets the eye? And at the end, I'm uncrossing my arms and I'm saying, wow, your first impression was neutral.
But the average guy that's approaching women is not doing this. This is why you're yielding high reward.
But now that I have gotten to know you, you're absolutely incredible. To me, A3 is the art of the compliment, is the art of hitting on the girl.
Wow, you're so amazing. Wow. Let me talk to you for a second. Is there more to you? Is there more to what you got going on, or am I just talking to some weirdo chick on the airplane that that's reading this book. I feel that there's more to you. Damn, you're very interesting. You're blowing me away. Tell me more about yourself.
You're going to show indicators of interest to the girl, but not until she's earned them. And that happens in an entire phase where she gets to invest in you. It happens, as Desmond Morris has said, it has to happen in phases.
Yep.
It happens in phases.
So now what we're doing, what you're doing is something that I think is a little intellectually questionable. I'm just going to say it.
I got it from you, Ross.
Okay, hold on now.
They're arguing about building genuine interest. If y'all haven't been keeping up with the conversation, they're arguing about the method of actually building genuine interest.
That's true. You're extrapolating from evolutionary psychology and applying it to your system. So it's a big leap. It's
a practical manner. Remember how many women I've,
some good game.
We can both make those claims. And furthermore, what's more important is we can talk about what our students have done, because I think that's the most important.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's the most important thing to convey. But what I'm saying, it's one thing to do it as a gambit. It's another thing to show, I may be misdefining or ill-defining your terms, so forgive me.
Well, I actually, if I may, I think that you and I have a commonality, and that is we're both gambit-centered thinkers.
Right.
One of my beliefs is you should know what you're going to say before you say it. Right. In other words, know your opener. And that's where we have a commonality, because you have...
And also be comfortable with your opener so that it doesn't sound like canned material if you decide to use an opener. Now, let me tell you some real player shit, though. Let me give y'all the real player shit. Yeah, they got old as fuck, Fast Stick. Yeah. If you... Shout outs to Fast Niggas Life. If you know these guys, they got old as fuck. 2007 was a long fucking time ago. But yeah, and I was doing this like end of my high school years, man. But let me give y'all some real game. After a while, when you understand and navigate and know what you're doing, you don't got to do none of this shit. This shit is training wheels, because you've done it so much, it naturally happens. And women read this on you. You've been here before, haven't you? I don't know you, but I feel so super comfortable with you. You know what you're doing. Women, man, come on, man. This the shit I like to talk about.
Patterns that people will memorize, and not just memorize, but make their own, So it really sounds like their rant, right? They make a rant, and in a 3-minute rant, you can really, like Russell Brand, convey a lot of your personality, and the girl would choose based on that.
That's a mischaracterization to call it.
Okay, fair.
But in any case, I'm going to get back.
Talking about difference in methods.
What I did with her was to show genuine curiosity, and my responses were based on what she was saying. It wasn't a generic question.
Now, this is a trap that I fall into, and that a lot of players fall into, especially when you're using speed seduction. You will get wrapped up in the chick as if you've known her for a long time. But you got to know how to do stuff like this to attract a wife or whatever. Ross Jeffries is on that level where he's genuinely interested. So he's asking these questions and doing these things from a place of genuineness instead of actual pickup.
Like, what would this be like if it was on X Factor or whatever it was you're saying? I'm saying the ability that I teach my students, the ability to put your agenda aside.
And basically what they're conflating also into this is why it seems like they're disagreeing when they're not, is what they're teaching their students. So these are the training wheels that they're using. That's why I said when you have a guru, you have to know exactly what you're doing. Follow that doctrine to get to the same place. Let's get it.
And genuine curiosity. I mean, real curiosity about what deeply moves that woman, not what TV shows she watches.
What Ross is saying that is like, okay, you're using gambit, so your students and how you're doing it, they're not genuinely interested. They're more worried about running the gambit, more so than being into the actual conversation.
I have deep qualifications.
Okay.
Again, it's phased.
Okay. So I'm saying that is something
You got to sell the comfort that you're building.
that needs to be refined and needs to be taught. And it takes someone who's very intelligent to do it in a way where it's deep, genuine curiosity. Had I not known what she was pointing at, what she was drawing, I may not have done so well. So part of learning speed seduction is you have to be smart and you have to be.
Dudes in the manosphere hasn't done that. That's why I'm different from a lot of the guys in the manosphere. I can break it down play by play because I've actually done it hundreds of times. All right, let's get it.
Become more well-read, and you have to be more emotionally intelligent than the average bear. So in that sense, I think it's more transformational because it requires things. And I'll admit it. Look,
More transformational than what?
Say again, sir?
More transformational than what?
I think it's more transformational than what you're doing. I really do, because it's requiring someone to do more than just routines. It's requiring them to become more emotionally intelligent and to smarten up about their world.
It sounds like you haven't come to my boot camp. We had this weekend here in Toronto, and the students had, I believe, the experience of a lifetime because they've met they've had a chance to interact with so many groups of people and practice the material they need for the future. When a woman of particular quality comes along, they'll have performed each of their separate story gambits or qualifiers or openers or comfort building gambits. They have practiced them. They've gotten them out of their mouth in performance conditions enough times so that when a woman of particular quality comes along, they could run it all on them and they won't have ums, ahs, pauses, awkward pauses. All that will be removed because of the practice. That seems to be a legitimate way for people to get good over a 3-day period. On night one, they're hesitant, but by night 3, they've opened a good 30 sets. Lots of learning.
Let's talk about that, because there's something I think that's missing, and not just in what you're doing, but
Mystery is teaching you guys how to get a lot of reference points. You gotta get a lot of reference points.
in every pickup system that I've seen, at least in my experience, having done this for decades, thousands of people.
Yeah, same here.
I would say 30 to 40% of the guys who come to this, whether it's a boot camp or a seminar, have serious trauma, whether it's from abusive parents or being bullied. And then there's acute trauma. That's when you witness a car accident or you're molested or shot. There's chronic trauma. That's the trauma that's more low grade, but it goes on for a period of time. Look, being 30, 40, 50 years old and never having had sex is pretty freaking traumatic.
Yeah.
So if you don't have techniques and processes to heal that person, you're essentially taking them, and no matter how well you guide them, no matter how many wingmen and trained coaches you have there side by side, essentially you're throwing them into the deep end of the emotional pool and saying swim. And so any system that doesn't have a dedicated, structured way to bring about that healing. And again, I've simplified it.
To be honest, I'm not a therapist.
Okay.
I'm
not a therapist either, but what I teach is very deeply healing.
Yeah, see, what Ross Jeffries is talking about, he kind of does dig into therapy too, because he wants his students to heal also. And to a certain degree, if you are teaching a bunch of men these methods and stuff like that, like I said, it can be the Band-Aid effect to some of their problems, or it could be the therapy effect to a lot of what they have going on. You understand what I'm saying? Shout outs to Fasting. Fasting said Alan Roger Curry, which taught a method. He teaches more so of a method than he does actual, he teaches more so of a method than he does actual game. But you have to have game to understand what ARC is talking about. And you have to genuinely not to really understand what Alan Roger Curry's talking about, shout outs to fasting because fasting gets it, is that you have to not be in the business of wasting your time. And to a certain degree, that's what Ross Jeffries is kind of saying with mystery. He's like, you know, even though you have students that can get the desired result, you want them to be able to heal, because what can happen, which really happens with pickup artistry, is that you have a lot of guys that are masking something, and they're using gambits and they're using certain things that are masking their problems more so than actually healing and fixing their problems. You understand what I'm saying? So he's talking about healing and fixing yourself in the middle of learning pickup. And he's kind of more so saying that mystery is just kind of giving them the band-aid to the solutions, okay? So, you know, really deep game being chopped up here. You know, you definitely need somebody to really put you onto this information and stuff like that. And the thing about it is that, you know, a lot of women want guys to be able to talk to them and know exactly where they're leading them. They want guys to be able to speak to them and be genuinely interested. So both of these guys aren't wrong when it comes down to guys wanting to acquire women and things of that sort. But it's really up to the guy. You know, do you really want to understand what you're talking about and really have genuine connections when you're dealing with women? Or are you using this as a tool to get a bunch of different women? And this is the method that they're talking about, that a lot of guys that may not have as much experience with women, this is the method that they're talking about for guys to build their dating pool. You understand what I'm saying? And get reps in and things of that sort. One thing that I feel sorry about, and not really feel sorry about, is that a lot of women have become players by default is because their dating pool is given to them. And a lot of women, they don't get a chance to really talk about that. You know, people hear women complaining and stuff like that, but women have an actual right to complain. You know, if you understand women, I feel women, I know where they're coming from. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, man, I'm talking to a bunch of niggas, or a bunch of niggas is talking to me, don't know what they talking about, not really talking about nothing. They just want some pussy, and they're not genuinely trying to get to know me. And at the same time too, like I said, women give out coochie coupons. They give out season passes to guys that they like. And it's usually guys that can get to certain levels and conversation with them and stuff like that. Women have an innate need to have sex also. Okay? Shout outs to my players and my players. Shout outs to Fasting. Dropping the huge. Colossal. Humongous. $50 on the Cash App. Shout outs to my girl. Beautiful sister. Know what she talking about. And got hella game. If you listen to what she's telling you. My girl. Hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure you guys in the chat so you guys can get y'all shout outs. Shout outs to Jay Green in the building, dropping the huge 20 on the Cash App. Thank you guys for supporting Player Talk Radio as always, and hitting the Cash App and supporting Player Talk Reparations. Let's get it. Let's go.
Wendy?
Thanks, Chuck. We're standing here in front of the Olympic Liquor Store in Queens, where scores of African Americans have been lined up for hours. We spoke to a few of them earlier. Ladies, may we get a word?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
Shout outs to Jay Green dropping the huge 20 on the Cash App. And shout outs to Fasting is Life dropping the huge 50 on the Cash App. Thank you guys for supporting the game as always. Where the money reside, where the money reside, where the money reside.
Right.
Let's get it.
We going. Where the money reside, where the money reside, where the money reside, where the money reside. Okay, let me tell you something. I'm doing something real big this month. Any deal that y'all got and they beating us, I'm gonna be about $400. Just give me your pen and the paper, cause I'm asked what the what? What a money reside, what a money reside, what a money reside, what a money reside. Okay, I told y'all before, y'all know what I do. I give all these good deals and everything else. Y'all better ask about me because I do all that all the time. And that's on who? Mary Had a Little Lamb. Okay, 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 okay.
But let me give you guys the game on what's being said. When you are a man and you're genuinely looking for a wife, you're going to kind of lean more towards what Ross Jeffries is talking about. Because when you're ready to get quality dating options and quality people in your life, you're going to be asking these questions genuinely, wanting to know this woman's answer. And you're going to genuinely be interested in what she has to say and what she's saying. Some real deep shit. Let's go.
It's going to sound like a plug, and it is a plug, but it's simple enough that the AI can teach you how to do it. So if you're not offering that, I'm serious. So if you're not offering that, 30 to 40% of the people who are coming may get the result while you're there. They may, listen, I'm not going to argue with results. They may indeed get the result when they're there with you. But when they go home and the same environment and the same old anchors, as we call them in NLP, and the same stuff is going on and they get deeply triggered again, it's great they did good at the boot camp. They got their money's worth. But can they continue to carry it out to the world when they don't have the support of the trainer standing right there? I've said to students who are afraid at first to talk to women, I've said, if you had me in your ear.
So when they're talking about this, they're talking about their students, the guys that they're teaching how to genuinely interact with women and stuff like that. So Ross Jeffries is basically saying that he's providing a method that you can use without the teacher there, versus what he's saying with Mystery. Hey, you're just giving these guys training wheels. Are they going to use this when you're not around? Do they understand what they're doing when you're not around? And this is always has been the guru debate. Whose method is better?
On an earpiece. And I was telling you exactly what to say.
You got to be able to keep up with the conversation. You have two teachers basically just talking about their rubric when it comes down to getting the same results.
Would you be so afraid? And they say, I'd still be afraid, but not so much. So when you have someone like that.
And that's the thing about approach anxiety, fellas. And women do have that power. You can minimize approach anxiety, but you can never get rid of it. Even gurus, guys that have done it hundreds and thousands of times, still have approach anxiety. But yes, it is a muscle. And what happens when you go to the gym? You get better and better and better and better.
Or yourself or Blaze or some of the other coaches guiding these people, I could see how someone would get some great results.
They get to doing it on their own by the third day. I can't, lay the girl for them.
Right.
They're going to open their own sets.
I understand.
Don't for them.
I understand. When they go home,
building proficiency in others. And we've got 3 days to make it happen. And believe it or not, 3 days and 3 nights is a good amount of time to spend with Mystery and learn the ropes. Okay. I just bring them out to the public gatherings where the women are.
So when those 30 or 40% of the people who are deeply impacted come to your events, I'm assuming you don't screen them. You don't do any kind of...
No, we actually, to be honest, there is some vetting that takes place because, again, I'm not a therapist. So if, I believe that a potential student is going to be disruptive to the group in a way that, I'm not looking for followers.
And that's what the manosphere is filled with. A bunch of disruptive students. Not even students, just a bunch of disruptive people that don't know what they're talking about with pickup jargon in their lexicon.
Right?
No.
Shout outs to Jay Green. Shout outs to Fasting in the building. Let's get it.
Follow my direction. but I'm looking for good students, or at least ideal students, people who want to become great at this game. Otherwise, I feel like, I'm shucking pearls of wisdom from the oyster of my brain and placing them before those who just won't appreciate it, right? So I'm looking for those who wish to become really proficient at pickup. And I've got 3 days. In the daytime, I teach the tools necessary to use at night, a practical application. And then we go in field and we meet the women. And if they have sticking points that I'll see patterns, just like in my television show. I watch the students, and then I can, after 3 sets, give them a little critique for the next 3 sets. And that seems to really improve people. Some people are leaning in and pecking, doing some basic errors. Some people aren't speaking loud enough, or their body language is just wrong, or they're touching with hover hand the back of a girl's shoulder.
Right.
You've seen it all, Ross. You've seen it all. So, I have to course correct over the course of 3 nights of this. And by the 3rd night, they're doing great. I am so proud of my students. We just pulled off a caper this weekend here. It was a madhouse, Toronto. It was chaotic. But within that came a lot of education, a lot of experience for the boys. It was great.
So my question,
Mystery, just a quick question for Mystery. I remember for our interview a few weeks ago, you were saying your first boot camp student was Neil Strauss. So does that mean you're the guy who introduced the concept of boot camps to the industry?
I believe I did. There's always going to be another top dog. Everyone's going to try to vie for top dog, but they can't take away first. I'm the first to provide infield boot camps. Infield, bringing the boys after seminar into the nightclub environments, and just like the television show, showing the boys how it's done, showing them what good pickup looks like, how to properly engage in conversation with groups of people, in a pleasing manner, and then have them do it themselves.
If you want to go to nightclubs and bars, this has it all over.
Or any event like a restaurant that had women there. We're just looking up where the women are. And the best places are rooftop patio bars.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite places of all time, anywhere in the world. New York City, Miami, Toronto, rooftop patio bars.
Yep.
Beautiful environments with which to meet beautiful women. They give you they presume you have value because you're there.
Yeah, because you're there.
It's even
again. I'm speaking now to the guy out there who lives in rural Podunk, Idaho, or can't get
Butler,
small town. He's stuck in a small town.
Yeah. So what Ross Jeffries is saying is that he's speaking to the guys that don't have access, or they don't know about these places and they're not going to these places. So basically, he's talking about day game. And I done talked to you guys about day game so many times your head will spin. And weekly game, this is stuff that you throughout the week. That same girl you couldn't pull Saturday, when Wednesday come around, oh yeah.
Or
got to get out.
Someone else like that who cannot get the invitation to those places. Listen to me and hear me before you respond. You have a tremendous amount of status. You're Mystery. Baxter has a tremendous amount of status. He knows people who probably own those clubs. I didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you. So be fair.
They're getting catty now.
All right. So not everyone at ICE is laughing. Not everyone has that kind of access. They just don't. How many guys can get bottle service? How many guys would want bottle service?
Well, there's
guys can get invitation. Look, you're very well known in Toronto. You're a star in Toronto. You can walk. Yeah, you are. Don't be
the guys. I get a few guys coming up, taking pictures and wanting to meet me and thanking me for their life.
I understand, but
other than that, the girls, it's cold approach pickup. That's what I'm famous for.
You can get those invitations. Did you say cold approach?
It's cold approach pickup. That's my art form.
So
hot approach is where they know you before you're arriving.
I do not approach. I don't approach at all. I never approach
And that's what a lot of the guys in the manosphere is afraid of. They're afraid of cold approach. What's going on, Cynical? They're afraid of cold approach when that's what they're trying to do anyway. They're trying to cold approach anyway. They're trying to cold approach. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to cold approach. The thing is that, you know, it's like, okay, you can cold approach. You can cold approach. Or you can be afraid of cold approach like most of the guys in the manosphere. You could cold approach. A lot of guys in the manosphere, like I said, are afraid of cold approaching. You can cold approach, but or be afraid of cold approach. But the thing is that when you cold approach, you know what I'm saying? When you cold approach, and if you're afraid, like most of the dudes in the manosphere are of cold approach, you're gonna have to talk to this person in person anyway. You're gonna have to be whatever you say to this person online. When they meet you in real life, you're gonna have to be not super congruent, but you're gonna have to be somewhat congruent with what the representative or who you appear to be online. You're gonna have to represent, you know, whatever you presented online, or through text or instant message or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And for the sake of you guys soaking up this information, I'm going to have to stop the live stream right here. I appreciate everybody that came through. Hit the like button and support. Watch the live stream from the beginning, because you guys definitely have to soak up this game. Watch the live stream from the beginning, because I'm going to do another part 2 to this, and we're going to get through this whole thing, you know, about the pickup artists and the methods and stuff like that. Because women do want guys that they're going to be comfortable with. Women do want guys that they're going to be comfortable with leading them to certain outcomes and stuff like that. Women aren't these people that's like, oh, I'm going to judge the way you qualified me and all this. No, they're not. You know? Yeah, we're gonna come back later. I might do a vertical live stream just to kind of talk about this stuff in more detail. But yeah, man, you guys got to soak up this game. It's Player Talk Radio. I am your gracious host, DJ Kuda, right back at the helm of today's show. Good morning. Shout outs to everybody here. Make sure you watch this show on the replay and soak up the game before we move forward, because I have a lot more deep and interesting concepts to tell you guys about what you've heard today. Okay? It's Player Talk Radio. Make sure you guys start your morning off with some good information. Player Talk Radio. I am your gracious host, DJ Kuda. Drop 2 hours and a half on you guys. Absolutely, Devin D. I definitely will be coming back. It's Player Talk. Peace.
Yeah, you thought I was gonna run, huh? Y'all wondering where's Steve Harvey? I know people been waiting on my response to what Cat Williams done said on Club Shay Shay. I was on Club Shay Shay before Cat Williams. See, the reason why it took so long, I had to pray to God to give me the strength not to get mad. God talked to me every day, every damn day. I've been in this business a long time, boy. See, you done messed up with the wrong one. See, you just sitting there talking that bullshit to Shannon Sharp, talking about I couldn't be a movie star. Yeah. I guess you didn't see you got served. Yeah, that there was acting, huh? Then you gonna say I took Mark Curry's jokes and stole his show. Boy, you got the nerve to call me Mr. Potato Head. Calling my ass Mr. Potato Head. Yeah. Woo! That was a good one. I ain't gonna lie. That was a good one. But I digress. So what? I wore a wig, huh? People asking.
Gotta teach y'all about gators in the water, y'all.
All right. So
A little fishing 101 today, y'all. Because a lot of people been saying, Queen, how you know they got gators in that water? I really want to come fishing with you, but I'm afraid they got gators in that water. What if they got gators? Like, what if the gators come up to the boat? What if, whatever. They just want to know if they got gators in the water. Well, I'm in Louisiana, baby. So let me tell you something. This how you go find out if they got gator in that water. It's just a little fishing 101 from me to you. All right? Remember, I told you. Hold on. Come with me. Let me show you how you can tell they got gator in that water. So you go come on down. Come down a little more. Come on down to the water, you know. Any body of water. It don't matter which body of water it is. You just go to that body of water. And this how you go know. You grab that water like that. And you pick up some and you do like that. If that water wet, it's got gators in it. That's how you know they got gators in that water in Louisiana. Remember, the fishing queen herself told you how to find out. You want me to show you one more time? Let me show you one more time. That way you can get the concept. Come close. Come close. You put your hand in there.